All right, welcome to this week's episode of BLT on Rye. You're here with your hosts.
B for book bag.
Wow, moving up in the world.
Doesn't count as books because I added bag at the end.
Yeah, and you can't read a book bag. It's a contain. I am L for lascivious. Is this a word?
I am T for try the gray stuff, it's delicious. Don't believe me? Ask the dishes. Be our guest, put our serves to the test.
I saw, I don't know if you guys know the program NBA Desktop, but they did an episode where they redid like Disney songs to be about the NBA bubble. And one was Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, singing that song.
That seems like a interesting alignment of your interests.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't know if I've ever told you guys this. It's kind of like a dark secret of mine. But, like, when I was a kid...
I'm just having a Luke laugh.
I just love this joke so much.
When I was a kid, I was really into Disney movies, and it really made me feel different and isolated from all the other kids, because they liked other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right. Speaking of Disney stuff, we watched a thing on Disney Plus this week. What all did we watch, everyone, or do you listen to?
Well, I chose the podcast Analyze Phish.
I chose the Rotting Christ album, Kata Daimona Eaytoy. It's in Greek.
And I made them watch Hamilton, now out on Disney Plus.
But before we get into it, anyone want to talk about just for this week?
Yeah, I feel like one of us had a very exciting experience happen this week. With the, something about the sky, and, I'm talking about me, of course. I went and laid out on the ground, and I looked at the sky to remind people in the neighborhood that I am the main character. Nothing else matters.
That's fun. Did you also, solemnly look out the window on a bus ride?
Yes, while loudly blasting music. Because I am always in a music video.
Right. You're the main character of Sims.
Yes.
I went disc golfing a bunch, and I'm reorganizing my room and got a new bed, and that's about it.
No, you're reorganizing all of your records autobiographically, right?
Alphabetically, yes.
That is a joke from the book High Fidelity. When he's really upset, he organizes his records autobiographically.
What does that mean?
I believe as to when he bought them.
Also, how can you do that more than once?
Well, because the joke is that anytime he's upset, he, organizes his records in a different way.
Oh,
so, he'll do it autobiographically, and then he'll do it alphabetically, and then he'll do it, by date released every different times. Okay. Fun.
Also, I was talking about you going skydiving, Luke.
Oh, yeah, that was, I went skydiving. It was wild. It was awesome. We went up. There was 5 of us. Me, Bob, Lydia, Nikki, and Bob's brother. And we were late in the day, and so we were going to get bumped to the next day. So we went up the next day. I don't know why I'm including that part. That's not important or interesting. But, oh man, the plane couldn't have been wider than, my car. We were just stacked in there like sardines attached to the person I'm jumping with. And there's that moment when you, get out to the open door. And, they explain to you, okay, when you're going out, you put 1 foot outside the plane on this little thing here. You put your knee on the threshold. And then you'll rock forward, rock back, and then just roll out of the plane. And just looking out, you could see so far, and just falling. It's hard to explain, 'cause it sounds dumb when I explain it, because it's yes, you fall from the sky, that's how it works. But the feeling of just falling forever. probably only lasted like 30 seconds, the free fall, but like, oh man, it was wild. And the guy I was skydiving with was very funny. Just deadpan the entire time, and he would say shit like, okay, we are now attached to the plane. That way, if the plane goes down, they can find our corpses near the fuselage. I was like, he's a funny guy.
Was he single? Did you clock a ring?
I didn't. He was considerably older than me.
Okay, I wasn't asking for you. Clearly.
The one guy in the line in front of me, like, as they opened the door window thing, he, like, I swear there's a name for it, but, like, flinch checked the guy he was attached to. Like, the instructor just like, oh god, the guy that, like, right at the edge of the plane and, like, out the window. Like, it was like, oh man. Because these guys they just do this every day all summer, and then whenever it gets cold, they hop in their RVs and head down south to while there's places that are still jumping. Like, this is what they do. I just thought it was funny because it was just like, I don't think it was terrifying, but I could see why someone would be scared. And then getting flinch checked at the edge of a plane you're about to jump out of.
Yeah.
I feel like you've got like a 50-50 shot of you doing that and the guy jumping.
Well, they're attached.
Like, I would jump right out of the plane. Attached or not, I would be gone.
How did we invent skydiving?
I want to say it was mostly by necessity. Like, once planes started happening, and it was like, okay, well, what happens if something bad happens up there? Well, maybe we make a safety device. And then once the safety devices got good enough, it was like, well, could we do this for fun? That seems the most reasonable progression to me. Or maybe I wonder if there was base jumping before there was, like, because planes haven't been around all that long, but large mountains you could jump off of have been.
Yeah, large mountains have been around at least over 25 years.
Yeah.
Do you have proof of that?
Because I remember they were there when I was a kid.
Yeah. Even like some really big ones. Like,
Yeah.
I had heard of Everest as a kid, so.
Have you ever seen Everest in person?
No.
I have not, so I can't
That's
guarantee
intriguing.
that it's true.
I don't know. I'm not good at geography. Is Mount Everest in America?
America the country? I don't think so. America the continent? Maybe.
I hate this podcast.
Oh, so
I'm
does
being
everyone.
serious. I don't know.
Oh, it's in Asia, I believe.
What's the largest mountain in America?
Mount McKinley?
Huh.
Mount Everest, yes, in Asia. What country is it in? Nepal and China. Nepal is the one I was thinking.
Huh.
Himalayan mountain range. And real quick, largest mountain in North America. Denali. Okay, Mount McKinley is like not even on this. Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, Denali is formerly Mount McKinley. Okay, never mind. So I was right. It's McKinley / Denali. Or Denali / used to be McKinley. And that's in Alaska. So, you want to do podcast stuff?
Sure. Let's get this over with.
Like, fine, run through this.
Now the part everybody doesn't like.
You mean the start to end? Who wants to go first?
I haven't gone first in a hot minute.
Okay.
So I made y'all watch the musical Hamilton, which was, written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. It was originally done at the Public Theater, I believe, and then moved to Broadway, which is currently closed, but they recorded it, for Disney Plus, because Disney is rich, and Lin-Manuel Miranda is also very rich. He's also written other musicals, infamously like In the Heights, which is also incredible, and they are doing a movie of that as well, which will be released, someday. I can't wait.
Did he write... this is probably wrong. Did he write, Smash? Not Smash.
He was in the movie Smash, or the TV show Smash.
What's the one where they have, like, pots and pans and stuff?
Stomp.
Stomp. Why did I think he wrote Stomp?
Stomp is old, isn't it?
I don't know.
He was in The Sopranos as a bellman.
He also co-wrote Bring It On, the musical.
He's been in like a lot of weird stuff if you look back.
BoJack Horseman.
Yeah.
Yes. And he wrote some of those songs for Moana.
My Brother and Me.
Yes, he's good friends with the McElroy brothers. Like,
yeah.
There are several references in Hamilton to the McElroy brothers.
Really?
Yes.
What?
Notably, Unless, in the song Unless. So it's like, unless, and then people, unless, which is like their thing.
Yeah.
Then in Cabinet Battle number 2, he uses Griffin's vernacular to, King Louis, do you want me to take it out and ask it? Should we honor our treaty, King Louis' head? Do whatever you want. I'm super dead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, something about that line, watching it, I was like, wow, the way he said that seemed like out of character.
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
There are tweets about, he was like, yeah, that's absolutely from listening to hours of Griffin McElroy talk.
I have to admit that I kind of cheated with this one.
How did you cheat?
Okay.
In that I have listened to Hamilton a lot before, and I saw it when it came to Pittsburgh.
That's fine.
Yeah, okay.
I've listened to, I think, a majority of the songs through Liz.
Yeah, I also feel like, original cast versus...
That's
so
true.
I won, the Hamilton lottery, 2 years ago?
You got to kill Hamilton?
Yes.
That's what you win, right?
Yes. So
the Hamilton Murder Lottery is what they call it.
We were watching Smash, and Smash has, I'm losing his name. It is Leslie Odom Jr. Leslie Odom Jr. in it, who plays Aaron Burr, and he came on screen and I went, that's the motherfucker that killed Hamilton! And my roommate would not, she was like, shut up, I swear to God I'll kill you myself. Because that is all
do you know
that I
who
want
else
to
has
say
played
about
Aaron Burr?
What?
Do you know who else played Aaron Burr in one of the productions? Wayne Brady.
That's right.
Really? Huh. That's neat. I guess Wayne Brady does have a good singing voice. He did all the singing on Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also the rabbit in Sophia the First.
I remember that. Wow, this podcast is coming full circle.
And he's in one of the best Chappelle Show sketches of all time.
Is Wayne Brady gonna have to choke a bitch?
I don't know that reference.
Tori, how much Chappelle Show have you seen?
I don't know who that is.
Next episode might just be you watching all of the Chappelle Show.
Yeah.
You've never seen, The Prince Hollywood Stories? Where he plays basketball?
Mm-hmm. And then he made flapjacks. Pancakes. Oh my god. That was such a good show. It's a shame he got, a little homophobic.
Yeah.
Okay, well, ew.
He'll say things like, I support the gay community and totally cool with them, but then whenever he's doing a bit and there's a gay character, they'll have a lisp and
yeah,
stereotypical affectations, and it's well, you're saying one thing and you're kind of putting on another.
That's very true.
That old Chappelle Show was so funny.
Well, anyway, Hamilton.
Yeah, Hamilton.
Now, I know that we all like hip-hop music.
Oh, I also want to preface this with, Hamilton has been under a lot of fire recently because a lot of the men that are, being depicted by people of color were slave owners and not great people.
Yeah.
Hamilton himself was a slave owner. And it's this weird, oh god, Lynn spoke about it, and how, at the end, Eliza, her orphanage wouldn't accept, biracial or black children.
Mm.
And so it's been, under fire, but ignoring that and looking just at the show.
I was going to say something about that, because from what I could tell, Hamilton was... I don't think he ever owned slaves. His mother did, and when he died, they were supposed to go to him, but I don't know if it was because he refused them, or if there was some legal issues that they did not become his slaves. So I don't... From what I read, I don't think he ever owned slaves, and was specifically an abolitionist. But still, like... I love how they almost take one of the characters to task on it, where it's like he drops like 2 bars about Thomas Jefferson owning slaves, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, let's see where this goes, and it doesn't. They're just like, you own slaves, that's bad, and everyone's like, oh, okay, but you're still like an important part of the show and like a good person otherwise, so let's just keep going.
I don't understand when you say it's being taken to task. Like
it felt like that they were about to go after Thomas Jefferson for being a slave owner, and then they just didn't.
It's interesting, because I don't really think that this... I don't know. Do you think that, like, stuff has to be historically accurate? Like, do you think if you're making something about Alexander Hamilton, you have to include the fact that he owned slaves? I
don't think you have to, but I think the issue for me was... they were about to get into it. Like, they said Thomas Jefferson owned slaves, and everyone, had the mic drop moment, and then they just kind of, like, let it be.
I go back and forth on it, because I understand...
Yeah, like, not every single historical play or
I don't think, art has to be historically accurate, but I also understand why it's irresponsible to kind of have... I don't know.
I think it's mainly become under scrutiny because it was praised for putting...
I guess,
a better light on them than possibly deserved.
And there is an element of revisionist history, because from what I could tell,
they did rap.
all of the events that happened, none of them in real life were sung in musical form. So
yeah.
Okay,
that's a new thing.
Like this in no way purports itself to be documentary.
Yeah.
But I get where people are coming from.
Yeah. Okay. With that out of the way, I still have 2 complaints. 1, Lin-Manuel Miranda. If you ever listen to this podcast, 1, I'm sorry, you're never getting this time back. 2, I'm sorry, but by and far the weakest vocalist.
True.
And not even like, everyone was very good and he was alright. Everyone was very good and he was just barely passable. And granted, I can't sing for shit, so like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I could do this shit, but like, it just wasn't particularly good. And anytime he tried to sound sad, just was not very good at pretending to be sad.
Yeah.
Like, he would talk like this. And I was like, oh, that's not sad, that's hurt. Like, you stubbed your toe or something. I don't know.
I think he sounds much better on the album than he does here. Like, when he says, don't call me son to George Washington on the album, I think it's fine, but he really just oversold it in the live show.
I mean, he wrote the whole thing. He has the right to be the main character. But my second complaint, for a show that spawned like an entire 5-year period of like, I think this was a line from the 2 Minutes to Late Night or Pod Minutes to Cast Night podcast. The NPR tote bag wearing, oh, I like hip hop now. Like 20% of it was hip hop or rap. Like the rest of it was just straight Broadway show tunes.
I don't know about that.
20% maybe underselling it, but like I was expecting way more.
I think the only thing that sounds show tuney to me are the King songs.
But let's see, where's the song list? Okay. Alexander Hamilton.
Definitely hip hop.
I can do the whole show for you if you want.
I would like you to not. If you'd like to do selected parts, I do not have 2.5 hours, so selected parts are fine.
Let's see. I would even say that was too show-tuney for me, the Alexander Hamilton. That was more than a lot of stuff, but like, okay, my shot, yes, good. The story of tonight, if I recall, was a little...
Of tonight.
Yeah. The Schuyler sisters, show-tuney.
That, to me, the Schuyler sisters sounds like a Destiny's Child song.
I'm a compelling to include women in the sequel. Work.
Helpless.
That sounds like a Beyonce song to me. Like
yeah, I guess a lot of the stuff is hip-hop adjacent. Alright.
I don't know if you've ever heard the Hamilton mixtape, but when they have Ashanti do that, it's like, you know, you totally believe it as like a Ashanti song. Other than the weird references she's making to the story.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You've sold me.
My thing is, so there's a lot of like hip hop references. You know, like I'm sure you can find a million lists online. But like when he says only 19, but my mind is older, that just makes me want to listen to Mobb Deep instead of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No.
Like that ties into the Analyze Phish we listened to, where they're talking about like, yeah, it sounds like, you know, The Who, but I'd rather go listen to that.
And like I enjoy all these songs. So, Tori, when you said no, what do you mean?
No.
Just no.
I guess I will trying to explain further. Like, so only 19, but my mind is older is a line from the Shook Ones Part 2 by Mobb Deep, which is a song I like much more than the song. I think he does it in My Shot, and then maybe later, but he does it in My Shot, and I'm like,
yeah, his kid does it.
As much as I like this song, I'd rather listen to that better song. And like,
and I'm you no.
And like 10 Dual Commandments is just 10 Crack Commandments by Biggie. And so I'd much rather just listen to the 10 Crack Commandments.
I will say, I did enjoy listening to this musical. Not a musical person, but this was definitely on the higher end of musicals that I enjoy. But like, I
mean, I think the musical is very good. I think he does a great job of really fleshing out all the characters. Like, you totally understand the different philosophies of Hamilton and Burr, and it does a great job of they have the philosophies, and then at the end they switch. So there's that like irony to it.
Yeah, I didn't like the story, where the story went for his wife and his wife's sister, and you know, they don't have any control of what the actual story was, but like, watching the tension between the wife and the sister and Hamilton, I'm like, oh, this is getting interesting. And then it's just like, and then I slept with this random chick. I was like, oh, wow, that came out of nowhere. Like,
well, yeah, because they were uptown. Take a break. Let's go upstate.
Yeah, but like, the idea where it's like he's this honest, principled man, but there's this woman who's like his equal mentally, and it's his wife's sister, and it's this push and pull, this back and forth, and he's tempted, but he's a strong, principled man, and then he just sleeps with a random lady. Like, you can't do anything about history. That's what happened, but like, I don't know why that doesn't have to be in the story. Like we said, this doesn't have to be a complete historical account. But I guess that's important to the story of why he falls out of politics. And from what I could tell, him and Aaron Burr, they weren't like super involved before Hamilton like shit talked him out of the presidency, right?
What do you mean? Like
in real life, what was Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr's relation before?
I think they were friends.
Yeah, they were.
They were actually?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually a drunk history that Lin-Manuel does on Hamilton. And he kind of gets a little more into it. Like, there is there's a hot minute where Hamilton is gonna fight somebody else. And the other dude is like, Aaron Burr is his second. And he goes, hey, tell Hamilton that if he wants to fight, we'll fight. But I didn't ever actually want to fight him, so if he doesn't want to fight, we shouldn't fight. And Aaron Burr literally goes over and, like, talks Hamilton out of the duel. He's like, we're bros. And then when he kills Hamilton, like, he was, like, the first person, like, he tried to run over to talk to Hamilton. And he was like, yo, like, I want to talk to Hamilton. And his second was like, you literally gave up the right to talk to Hamilton when you shot him.
I will have to do more reading. If anything, this certainly, the play succeeded in making me interested in this portion of American history. Because now I'm like, I've read differing accounts on if Hamilton was throwing away his shot at Burr. And some of them are like, yes, he never intended to shoot, but those were published in papers that were, like, owned by Hamilton's friends. And then there's letters that said he might not shoot, but then there's people that were there that were like, oh, he really tried to shoot Aaron Burr, he just missed because he got shot.
I think it's like Babe Ruth calling a shot. We'll never really know the truth.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are letters from Hamilton,
saying he intended to not shoot Burr.
Yeah, that were literally like, I have no intention of shooting Burr. I will not shoot Burr. If Burr shoots me, that's on him. And, like, I will die knowing that I never wanted to hurt him.
Now that seems suspicious to me.
No, it literally condemned Burr. Like, Hamilton won, no matter what.
But there were supposedly eyewitness accounts where it's like...
He wore his glasses, and he...
Well, he put on his glasses, he was looking at the gun, but if I recall correctly, there was an account where the witness was like, yeah, he didn't, like, point up in the air and shoot. He shot at Burr. He just missed. But, like I said, I have to do a lot more reading into it because there's a lot of accounts from many different people.
I know there's that, I believe this is based on that Ron Tchaikovsky, I think his name is. What's his last name? Chernow. Who's Tchaikovsky? Ron Chernow book that this is based on. And then there's the David McCallum book. What's that book called? We should all know this.
I don't. I'm sorry.
Do you guys know who David McCullough is?
No.
Well, the reason we should know him is he graduated from Shadyside Academy High School, which is where we met. And he wrote a book called 1776.
There's also a musical called 1776, which I just watched the other day.
There's a movie called 2001, A Space Odyssey. Probably not related, though.
There's a movie called Citizen Kane, and for my money, I think it's the best one ever made.
Back to Hamilton. I will say I liked basically everyone except Hamilton, like, did a very good job with their singing and in the dance, and I particularly liked Hercules Mulligan doing like the doing the like chopped the like chopper style rapping.
Yeah.
You mean the bra bra? I am Hercules Mulligan, up in it, loving it. Yes, I heard your mother say, "Come again, lock up your daughters and horses." Of course, it's hard to have intercourse over 4 sets of courses.
Yes, that.
David Diggs can hit it for free. I am in love with this man.
I also didn't realize that a lot of people were double cast. It took Liz pointing it out to me. Like,
did you watch this with Liz?
No, I just mentioned it to her. Yeah. Did you pick up on that, Benny?
Yes. I think I maybe knew it going in that whoever plays, because it's also in the first song. Like, his character says, "I fought with him," meaning both he fought with it, like he fought with
like
him.
Beside him and fighting against him. Yeah. Liz pointed that out to me as well. So, well, I guess I was the only one that didn't know. I'm gonna crawl into my little ignorance corner and.
Luke's the guy who's like, "No, Clark Kent can't be Superman. Clark Kent wears glasses."
Hercules Mulligan had like a hat on. Which, like, James Madison did not. Yeah. Overall, I think I enjoyed it. I had an alright time with it, which is positive praise coming from me for a musical.
That's true.
I like it. That's fine.
Although there was also the weird, like, what was it? Eliza's song "Burn," where the discussion of, like, you know, who tells your story, who
lives, who dies.
Yeah, who is the one that explains what happened once you're gone. But I'm not gonna let them. I'm not gonna let them tell my story. Like, I will erase myself from this. They don't get to take control of what I feel. In the song about how she felt in that. I just thought that was kind of funny.
Well, yeah, because she did add herself back into the narrative in the end.
Yeah, I'm curious what her actual, like, feelings about that whole situation were, because they had a kid after that. I think a couple kids after the affair came to light.
Mm-hmm.
One of them named after the dead kid. Like, he had a son, Philip Hamilton.
Also,
and then he died, and then had his son, Philip Hamilton.
I would love to talk a little bit about how the whole thing came to light, because, God, this is me remembering Lynn's drunk history, is that so they came in and they were like, we've got you on using the court money and, like, taking money that's not yours. And he's like, hold the fuck up. No, you do not. Like, this is what happened. And somebody, like, spills and is like, okay, well, this is what happened, but he did, like, he used his fake money, or the money that wasn't his. And so that was what the duel was over, was he told, oh God, who was it? It might have been Jefferson. He was like, I know that you spilled the beans about this. And Jefferson was like, nah, man, like, wasn't me. And, like, that's what they dueled over. And Hamilton literally started, like, the first newspaper to be like, so. Or maybe he started it to talk shit on Aaron Burr. One of those things. But Hamilton started some sort of newspaper, literally to either, like, tell his own story or to talk shit on Aaron Burr.
Which,
I don't think that he started the first newspaper.
I don't know. Yes, but he did something.
Started a newspaper to talk shit on Aaron Burr.
Newspapers had been around for 100 years at that point.
I think you've been around for 100 years.
It was definitely a New York paper, and I know they're still around because I was just informed the other day talking about Hamilton with someone that apparently that paper just recently put out, like, a piece about Aaron Burr and him kind of sucking.
Yeah.
And it was like, they're still after him.
That's exactly what I was.
Look, once the publisher puts out a mandate, that's the mandate.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if the guy's been dead.
Well, I feel like we could talk a lot about Hamilton and just the whole story surrounding this, but we're about 35 minutes in.
Damn, alright.
Is there anything else anyone wanted to add?
I love David Diggs. I love that man so much.
Is he still on Blackish?
I don't know. I just know.
I know he was like the cousin on a season.
Well, alright. What next? I will go next. I had you guys, one of the common criticisms for I wouldn't say criticisms, but common complaints that, for the music that I picked that comes from Tori is that she cannot understand a word that this man is saying. Is that generally how it's said? Or no, I can't understand a word that this boy is saying.
I do love referring to people as boys.
So I picked an album by the Greek metal band Rotting Christ, where a lot of it is just foreign language stuff.
I was gonna say, this is gonna be a tough one to talk about because there weren't a lot of lyrics I could pick out to differentiate songs, and I can't pronounce a lot of the song titles.
Yeah. The idea of this album was, the translation of the title is a Greek phrase that can be translated several ways, but the intent of the lead singer, guitar player, basically front of the band, was the translation of "true to your own spirit." And the idea of the album is a deep dig into the occult knowledge of the past. Has led me to create this album. I have no special message. I was tired of them. I just want you to make an escape from your everyday life and trip with me into the past. And a lot of it's like old, like, one of the songs was Gilgamesh. You know, like the story of the Sumerian the one of the first epics. Are you guys familiar with Gilgamesh?
Kind of.
Just like, at least in passing.
Yeah, I've heard the name. That's probably what I should say.
It was one of the first epics. One of the first, like, long-form sort of stories, and it was about a ancient hero called Gilgamesh. So, it's just, like, stuff like that. A couple different languages. I think some of the stuff, like, there was Romanian. Let me see.
I will say, like, this is the type of music I'm always expecting to hear when you say it's a metal album. Like, this was like, oh, okay, this is like, it's very, like, heavy, and the guitar work's very, I guess, like, kind of thrashy.
Yeah. Although what I do like about Rotting Christ is a lot of their stuff is very melodic, especially with the, like the keyboards and stuff. They were one of the first black metal bands to really incorporate and appreciate keyboards and stuff, because back in the day, whenever this was new, it was like, no, that's poser stuff is keyboards. And then they made this very, like, gothic organ sort of sound that went well with the music, and people were like, oh, well, okay, those guys can do it. That's the Greek scene. The Greek scene has keyboards. That's fine. They're one of the first big black metal bands out of Greece, and very, very important and influential in the scene, and seem like some pretty cool dudes. Tori?
This was my hell.
You didn't understand. What? This was your
my
hell? You did not like this.
You didn't like
I
any
have
part
told
of
you
it.
before, I have had the conversation with you that I don't fuck with ghosts and I don't fuck with demons, and this is the kind of shit that's gonna get my apartment haunted.
But I just told you, it's like old historical stories.
Yeah,
It's
and
not like,
I don't want old historical ghosts in my apartment.
That's true.
Like, I'm sitting here listening to it, and I'm like, wow, I can't wait to be murdered.
There was, I don't know what song it was. There was one that opened with like a female vocalist that I really enjoyed.
I'm trying to think.
I enjoy some of the guitar. The instrumentals were pretty good.
They have the same guitar tone as A Day to Remember, which I thought was interesting.
I want to say that it was Kata. No, that's probably... Oh, I can't remember which one has that off the top of my head. Man, there's so many... There's a couple of... There's a Greek song. There's definitely a Latin song. Yeah, it is a little hard to talk about. Oh, it may have been the Russian song.
So, Tori, you won't be listening again?
No, I will be performing a cleansing ritual on my apartment.
That's why I always listen to Luke's albums at work. Now my work's haunted.
Okay, well, not all of us have.
How did you feel about the last song? I don't know what you listened to it on, so it was either written as like X 3 lines sideways M or 666 would be the translation.
I listened to it on Spotify.
Yeah, it's like 3 lines. That's also not the last song, though. There's one called
wait, is this...
Oh, yes, they did have the bonus track. That's a cover of...
Wait, isn't
who
this
that's a cover of.
Elon Musk's kid's name?
It could be. Now, is that just a rumor? I've heard that that's just like they're trolling people. That really it's like Cindy or something.
I'm not sure on that.
But 666, that's the number of somebody. I definitely have heard that in relationship to... It's not the number of, like...
The number of the beast?
Oh, yeah, it's the beast. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it summons
That's
him?
true. I believe so. To your apartment specifically.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
Tori, how did you feel about that?
Bad.
That song in particular was like the slow, buildy, like chanty at the beginning, and had like the I don't even know how to describe the music for it, but it's just so beautiful.
I've gotta be honest, there were a couple of these songs that I just wasn't about to fuck with, and so I just did the, like, click through and, like, listen to what I could. Because guess what, Luke? I'm not getting tricked into having a demon haunt my ass. And I know you're trying.
I think it's fair. You're trying to trick Benny into a TikTok.
That's true.
You're trying to get me into trick me into getting
I'm trying to trick you into a haunting.
I don't think that's fair at all.
Benny, are you trying to trick me into something?
No, I don't have any nefarious plans.
I don't know if I can believe that just yet.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd tell you if I did.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm gonna keep an eye on it. And if there are any evil machinations that occur, I'll be like, found you. Got you, you little rascal. I see what you're doing. Well, I'll have to pick something equally as haunting for next week. But something that I can speak about because the words are in English.
Was there any words in English? I think I maybe heard one or two, but nothing that I could...
I would say about between a quarter and a half were in English. A majority of the first song... okay, I may have overestimated. A majority of the first song, a lot of Iwa Voodoo, all of Gilgamesh... most of the Russian one, and then the bonus track is a cover song of an English song. So, okay, maybe like a quarter of this was in English.
I don't know if I maybe just knew, because you had said that a lot of it was in English, so I just didn't even try to listen to the lyrics, or if...
Yeah.
They're also very yelly, so...
Yeah. I'm trying to think what's... So, like Gilgamesh, the lyrics are, like... just about, Gilgamesh doing Gilgamesh stuff. He will battle till the dawn of the faint sun, and he will fight for. He is the glorious son of God, and he's Gilgamesh, and he's doing that sort of stuff. So, like, it's historical accounts of, or not historical accounts. It's accounts of historical mythology.
Huh.
The Russian song, I think, is about, like, sirens? Mermaids of sorts? Like, look at me, I am dancing, hear me, I am singing, come here, darling, mesmerized. And then some Russian, and, Rushalka, spirit wrathful, Rushalka, ghost unfaithful. Yeah, it's about a Russian specter spirit ghost that is haunting people.
Huh.
Tori, thoughts on the Russian wood nymph that is mesmerizing and killing folk?
Yeah, that's my dream.
That's your dream?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Track 8. That's you. That's what you're about.
I don't know if you realize how much I hated this. Like, I don't know if this was, like, your plan. If this was, like, like, fuck Tori.
Honestly, I picked this because I thought you guys might genuinely enjoy it. Like, the atmospheric sort of nature of it, the melodic...
Atmospheric?
Because this is a lot more melodic than a lot of other black metal.
Here's the thing, I love, like, the folklore behind it. All about that. I love Russian mythology, I love Greek mythology, I love Norse mythology, I love, like, all that stuff. I don't like them screaming at me in another language. Like, I have the utmost respect for people who can speak any other language than English. Like, absolutely incredible, doing amazing. This is just not for me. I have absolute respect for the artists. Love them. They're doing incredible work. I don't even know who they are. They're doing amazing. I believe in them. Not in my house. Not in my Christian Minecraft server.
It is mostly, Sakis Tolis and Themis Tolis, who are a pair of brothers and the founding members of the band. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Sakis is the lead vocalist, the rhythm guitar, the keyboard, and the bass player in studio. And then Themis is the drummer. And then everyone else is, like, studio or live musicians. And I don't know if you guys know this, but a real fun thing about, like, black metal is a lot of people will do stage names. So, like, their bass player, when they were founded, was a guy named Jim Patsurius. But his stage name was Mutilator. But everyone called him Jim Mutilator.
It's like the drag queen Karen from Finance.
Jim Mutilator.
Or Bob the Drag Queen.
Yeah. And strangely enough, a lot of the names come from Tolkien.
Come from what?
Tolkien.
Oh.
J.R.R. Tolkien. Lord of the Rings, Silmarillion, Hobbit.
Huh.
Black metal is just wildly into Tolkien.
I thought you said
Like,
pulp.
No. How much do you guys know about the band Mayhem?
Nothing. This is the first I'm hearing of them.
Okay, so
I know
they
about
were
the
like
concept of Mayhem.
they were the first band of the second wave of black metal, because original black metal was like Venom. It was thrash metal, but it was about demons and stuff. Mayhem was very influential and very, like, the most notorious thing about them, I would say, is that before they put out their first album, their lead singer killed himself. And then the new bass player murdered the guitar player.
Sorry?
Yeah. And the guy who did the murdering also burned several churches in Norway. And then went to jail for a while and had a solo project from prison and is now like a neo-paganist white nationalist douchebag. And also a murderer. But just like, you know, all the stereotypical, like, oh, metal, it's evil, it's about devil worship, and then the reality is, like, it's Ozzy Osbourne drinking too much and accidentally bit a head off a bat. These guys were, like, the real deal. Like, their live album is a picture of the lead singer who killed himself. Like, brains everywhere, wrist slit, just, like, as dark and as evil as you could possibly, like.
I don't like that.
Yeah, it's pretty grotesque. But their first album is just, like, so good. But anyway, that was, like, the black metal scene in the mid-90s. So when I say Rotting Christ is more melodic than all of them, like, it's very different from a lot of other black metal stuff. Okay, well, Tori did not like Rotting Christ. Benny, closing
Nobody
thoughts
is
on this album?
I thought it was fine. The guitar work was interesting. There was very cool drums on one of the songs that I don't remember.
I want to say Voodoo.
Probably.
Was it the intro, like the...
Yeah, it was like a real punk intro of like...
Yeah, that was Voodoo. And yes, it was very sick. Alright, well, I'll have to pick something in a similar vein for the rest of the episodes until you guys hate me. So, last up.
I picked the podcast Analyze Phish. This episode, normally the show is hosted by Harris Whittles, and he tries to convince Scott Aukerman to like the band Phish. But this episode was out of format, and he had Tom Sharpling, the host of the best show on WFMU, on, and he tries to convince him to like Phish. This episode came out,
November 18th, 2013.
When I want to say
November 18th,
04?
2013. Oh.
No, 4, I'm sorry. 2014. No, 2013.
Are you messing with me, Benny?
No, it came out in 2013.
Did you hear me at all?
What'd you say?
The whole time you were trying to figure out the date, I said November 18th, 2013.
No, I could not hear you. I'm sorry. I was so lost in my own rambling.
Sorry. That'll sound very good whenever we get this put together. Sorry, go on.
Yes. So it is, the whole plot is Harris Whittles is a Phish fan, and he tries to convince other people, mainly Scott Aukerman, to like the band Phish. This is the 8th episode of the 10 they released.
Yeah, I had a question about that. Like, they only had 10 episodes.
Yes.
That seems odd for a podcast. I mean, like, the premise of the podcast doesn't seem like it's conducive to very many episodes.
Well,
but
so they never had a regular release schedule. Episodes would just kind of come out. Like, the first episode was released on August 8th, 2011. The next one was released on October 3rd of that year. Like, it wasn't like a weekly thing. And now, I guess we're going to have to talk about this, but Harris sadly passed about a year after this episode was released.
Oh.
He died of a heroin overdose.
Oh, damn. So, do you listen to Phish?
I did not before this podcast, and I don't regularly, but I enjoy this podcast so much, and I sometimes miss Harris so much, that I will put on a Phish song.
That's very kind.
Harris Whittles was a writer on Parks and Rec as well.
Oh.
He plays one of the animal control guys.
Oh, okay. Yeah, looking at the picture of him on this, I see it. Yes. So, where do you stand on the side of Phish? Are you Phish positive?
I'm definitely more towards Tom Sharpling than I am towards Harris.
I agree. I'm sure I probably sound like this when I'm like trying to play stuff for you guys, but like every single example he gave, like, all right, check this out, was like, no, this isn't very good. Why are you showing me this? I loved. Is it a running joke that he skips around in the songs, or is that just specifically?
Oh no, he always does it, and everyone always says like, "Well, I have no feel for this because, like, they're not enjoying it, so he tries to go to a different part." But it's like,
because I'll do that, like driving in the car, I'll have my iPod on and like listen to like the first 20 seconds of a song and be like, "Nah, I'm not feeling this. But what about this? Maybe this."
I thought it was so funny when he would be like, okay, well, let's get to 14 minutes, and gave a very specific, like, time on this track. But the fact that these songs are so long.
Yeah. Oh, that was...
My favorite is when they're playing the Who song, and he goes, skip to 15 minutes in, and he goes, oh, you mean 1/4 of the length of the actual album it appears on?
Yeah. That's... How did you find this podcast? Just like through the Earwolf Podcast Network?
Yeah, I'm a big Earwolf guy. Harris was on a lot of episodes of Comedy Bang Bang, which Scott hosts. He would do a corner called Harris's Foam Corner, where he would just... First it was Harris's Phone Corner, but then someone misheard him, so it became Harris's Foam Corner. And he would just read, like, draft, I think kind of like Twitter drafts or joke drafts he had on his phone that were often, like they stayed in the draft folder because they weren't that good, but they would be hilarious. One of the famous ones is he just looked at his phone and said Wi-Fi because fi.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, it would be all stuff like that. Another one, I don't know how appropriate this joke is, but I enjoy it, is I told this guy I was a bit of a infomaniac. I love to learn. But he misheard me and thought I said nymphomaniac, so he fucked me. And then afterwards I said, no, I meant infomaniac. And he said, well, here's some info. You just got fucked.
That's so dumb, but it's very good.
But I also picked this episode. Scott's a lot nicer to him. Not a lot nicer, but... Like, I'm a person who really likes ribbing and making fun of people, and I think nobody's better at it than Tom Sharpling.
I did like that. I like when people can go into these sort of environments and do that without the reservation of, like, okay, I don't know this person well enough. Are they gonna, like, feel bad when I say this? Like, I think once you get into, like, oh, come on to my podcast, it's an environment where it's understood that,
yeah,
like, I could sit here and be like, Benny, fuck you. And that's not funny, but, like, you wouldn't be hurt by that. You wouldn't take offense to that. I hope. Are you okay, Benny?
I'm fine. My favorite is when he tells him how he bought the poster. He's like, it's a government mandated thing. Why do you have this?
Two of them. You had to get the color one.
Tori, what did you think of this?
I actually enjoyed it. I truly don't know if before this podcast I have listened to Phish consciously.
They don't really have any hits.
I don't think most Phish fans have ever consciously listened to Phish. They're mostly semi-conscious.
I also, so the person that was on the show is the voice of Steven Universe's dad.
Yes, he is.
And that is all I could think of the entire time. Was I was like, it's Greg.
We've listened to another podcast that he's been on.
Anyway.
Oh, was the person that voiced Steven Universe's father, was he pro or anti-Phish? Which one was he?
He's anti.
Yes.
Which is funny because the character is, the dad's like lives in a van hippie sort of type who would very much be into Phish, I think.
I also enjoy when he's saying he's going to be the fake narc. Just being like, hey man.
Hey dude, you got some doobies? Looking to buy some doobs, bro?
I just like that he was like the pro guitar player, I think. He liked one of the people, and he was just like, everybody else just needs to move out of the way and let him do his thing. And he was like, I like that you like this, and you just hate all of the rest of Phish.
How mad he was getting at the piano player is just so great. And, like, he does such a great job of explaining, like, that's how I want to be in every situation, where it's not just like, I don't like this. It's like, he's very specific about, like, here's what he's doing that isn't working.
It isn't good. Yeah. He does have a certain amount of, like, musical knowledge that he can articulate what's wrong, which, like, I always hate when it's like, yeah, I know what part is bad and makes me feel not happy, but I don't know why or how to explain it. The thing where they do like the da-da-da-da, like that's not getting across to anyone. But yeah, he could articulate very well what was bad. I will also say that I think taking from this and putting into my normal everyday life, I'm going to do my best to incorporate and use the phrase that someone sold me some bunk L, man. And I'm not going to use it for what it is intended for. Like, anything that's, like, not good is bunk L, man. So I'm taking that one.
Alright, well, I can't wait to fucking sue you for copyright infringement.
Hey, Tori, that attitude you're giving me, some real bunk L, man.
And I will see you in court!
Do you use that phrase? Are you the copyright holder of that?
No, but I just plan to be at the court case. You know,
okay.
I'll be in the crowd.
Well, I'll see you there then.
I'll bring some appy slices for afterwards.
Any other thoughts on this?
I just liked it. I thought it was very funny.
Yeah, it was just like an enjoyable background listen while I painted, and it was nice and fun.
I would say if you like this, the next episode to listen to would be probably their episode from the Hollywood Bowl. Harris and Scott go to a like Phish show together with, there's like a lot of people there. Adam Scott from Parks and Rec comes with them, and Paul F. Tompkins, who's like a very funny comedian. And they kind of record it, but they play clips, and it's just very fun to listen to them listen to themselves.
I think that's episode 9, because I was clicking through it, and I was like, wow, there's a lot. Yeah, Paul F. Tompkins, he was on, oh god, what was it? Harmon Quest?
Yeah.
You guys ever seen Harmon Quest? I feel like we may have talked about Harmon Quest
Yeah,
before.
we've definitely talked about it, because I'm like, I've heard of this.
It was on the same network as that My Brother and Me show.
Oh, I was going to bring this up because from the My Brother and Me episode, and I forgot about it, and then I remembered that I forgot to bring it up. I was asking about, did they mention their TV show? Because it's funny listening to the episodes chronologically. They're like, oh, we're doing a TV show. It's on CISO. It's going to be coming out here. We got the first 6 episodes filmed. And then they canceled the show after the first 6 episodes. So they were like hyped about it for so long. And like, oh, it's going to be great. You're going to love it. And then it was just canceled.
Well, was that on them?
It is a very funny show.
Because didn't CISO fold, like...
Yes.
Pretty quick? Yeah. I believe Scott owned part of CISO. Like, he was one of the major people behind it.
Launched in January of 2016, closed November of 2017.
Yeah. Paul F. Tompkins is also on an episode of Community. I don't know if you guys remember him on that. He's They're at a bar, and he's talking to Abed, and he's flirting with him, but Abed isn't picking up on it.
Oh, yeah! Abed just, wanted to talk about whatever thing.
Yeah, like Star Quest or something.
I'm looking at the guest list for Harmon Quest. Season 1, yes, Paul F. Tompkins was the first episode. Aubrey Plaza was on it. John Hodgman as Han Jodgman.
In a long winter.
Yeah. Kumali Nanjiani was on.
How did you pronounce his name?
Kumali Nanjiani?
Kumail Nanjiani?
Is that... Oh. Then I've been butchering that for a while.
It's fine.
But yes, he was on as Eddie Lizard. I remember that. He had like a little...
Is that a reference to my favorite comedian, Eddie Izzard?
I don't know. I don't think so. Yes, I believe it was. And then Nathan Fillion was on.
Ooh, have you guys seen, speaking of Nathan Fillion, have you seen Firefly?
I have seen an episode, and I was like, this is okay.
I remember watching it my senior year of high school and being like, this is great. And I've never revisited it, and I wonder if I'd watch it now and be like, this is not great.
It was definitely huge when I was in... it was like a fan favorite.
Yeah.
When
We're
I
always
was growing
campaigning to get a season 2, which at this point can't happen. It's been too long. But if it had been around, that's one of those shows, if it had came out 10 years later, 100% Netflix would have been like, yeah.
Like, yeah, we'll scoop that. Yeah. I think it was one of those things where it was like, people hyped it up to me so much where it was like, oh my god, you're gonna love this. And my brain is just like, well, now I'm not gonna like it.
Is there anything that you've ever I love this, and then you revisit and you're like, oh, this is awful?
Yeah.
Digimon.
Alright, well, you take that back now.
It's pretty bad.
Really?
I rewatched the original series, and it is very not good.
Don't tell me that.
I mean, it's still fun, but I would recommend just living with the memories.
I would say a big one for me was Heroes. I remember watching Heroes in high school.
Oh, yeah.
My Hero Academia?
No, Heroes. The NBC show?
With Milo how do you pronounce his last name? The dude from This Is Us?
Yeah, I don't remember his name. I'm trying to think. Who played...
Hayden also on it.
Siler. Who played Siler?
Oh, Zachary Quinto.
Zachary Quinto.
I've told you guys my Zachary Quinto story, right?
No.
No?
So, I don't even remember what year this was at Point Park, but Point Park produced a reality TV show where they gave 2 directors the same script to direct to see how a director affects the overall process of filmmaking. It aired on Showtime. It was called The Chair. One of the directors was that YouTube guy. He's kind of weird. His movie was real shitty. I want to say it's Shane Dawson. Is that a YouTube guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
And a child predator.
Ooh, I did not know that about him.
Yeah, he got canceled very recently.
Famously in this show, Zachary Quinto watches his cut. So Zachary Quinto was a producer on them. Zachary Quinto watched his cut of the movie and said, "Take my name off this." But so Zachary Quinto would be around Point Park's campus a bit, and one time, I was coming out of a bathroom stall, and who was at the sink washing his hands? But Skylar Zachary Quinto. So I walked up next to him, started washing my hand, and just was like, "Hey man, I loved you on Heroes," and then walked out.
I love that in this story, the only reason you washed your hands was because Zachary Quinto was also washing his hands. As if he wasn't.
It wasn't the only reason, but it was definitely a fun perk to it.
That's pretty good. I like that story. Real quick, Benny, rewinding a bit. How did you pronounce that actor's name?
Kumail Nanjiani.
How did I pronounce it?
Kumaili Nanji something.
Nanji. Okay. Okay. I looked up a video. I was like, how to pronounce that, because I wanted to hear it a couple times so I could get it into my head, and it's a video of him. And I'm like, oh, well, perfect. Get it straight from the source.
Does he not pronounce it the way I do?
He stutters over his name for about a minute for 30 seconds, and he goes, "Nah, can't do it."
Oh.
Because it's just a joke, and I was just like, ugh!
I was gonna say, because I only know how to pronounce it because he was on, like, 2 or 3 episodes of Hollywood Handbook, and that's how they would always pronounce it, so...
Kumail Nanjiani.
Yeah. The dude from Silicon Valley, right? Unless we're
Yes.
talking about 2 different guys.
No, I've got it in my head now. I'm good. Well, that was certainly education.
Do you guys ever work on an art project and you keep fucking with it because you're like, oh, I could just fix this one little part, and then you just completely fuck it up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I need to finish my art projects? Like a hard deadline. I've done all of the best work, like all of the scripts I ever wrote that I thought were good or anything.
Like do now.
And I just had the attitude as I was doing them, like, I don't even need, like, it does not need to be good. It just needs to be done. And I feel like somehow having myself in that headspace made me produce much better work than when I'm like, I can take however long I'd like on this.
There's a Woods of Ypres song called "Mistakes the Artists Make," and it's just about how it'll never be perfect. It'll never even be good in your eyes, and the mistakes the artist makes stare him in the face for years after they're made.
Yeah, I think it's something like that, where it's just now, like, if I make a mistake, I get hung up on it, but with a deadline, you're like, I'm just going, like,
Yeah, you can excuse to yourself, like, that's not good, but other stuff needs to get done. Like, I didn't like this part, but I don't have time to work on it. Well, I think that about wraps it up.
Yep.
Anything else anyone want to go over real quick? Wordle?
Stay tuned for next week where I try to convince Benny to subscribe to a Patreon that does sexy ASMR of anime characters.
I don't
Specifically,
I don't like any of that stuff. I don't like ASMR, I don't like anime characters, and I don't know how
I don't like
feel
Patreon.
about sexy.
Perfect.
It's back.
Can't wait for the week ahead of you.
Do you subscribe to any Patreons?
I
don't,
sell photos
but
of
I've
my
been meaning
tits
to.
for donations to Black Lives Matter. Do you think I have money to spare?
I guess.
Yeah,
not.
me either.
And that is why this week I will be convincing Benny.
Why do you need to convince me?
Well, because I already have a subscription.
Yeah.
Do you just want this subscription?
I don't want to talk about that. I just want to talk about the journey of me convincing you to get the subscription.
As long as one person pays for the Patreon, we all get the content.
Right?
We're friends, we share. Well, this will
I
be...
subscribe to 2 Patreons.
Maybe one of these weeks we're going to do one. It's like, pick something that you're sure everyone else will hate.
I wanted to do... I didn't want to do, but I thought about for next week doing Springsteen on Broadway, but then I was like, it's too long.
Alright, can we watch, I almost said Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Can't.
No, oh my god, artist guy from Pittsburgh,
Andy
Warhol. We're gonna watch Sleep.
Isn't that just the movie of the guy sleeping?
Yeah.
Yeah, for about 8 hours. Gotta watch the whole thing, get all the minutia, all the important detail. Alright, well,
Damn it!
this has been BLT on Rye. We've been your hosts.
I've been Benny for board games.
I'm Luke for,
You're
a light
L.
nap. I'm L for a light nap.
I'm Tori for try as I may. I just cannot get these fools to do this. Why?
I don't have any social media. Don't follow me.
Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Tumblr and Snapchat and Facebook, and maybe I should make a Twitch.
How might they find you on these things?
I don't know, guess.
It's too much Tori. It's too much Tori. That's the name. Alright, well, that's been BLT on Rye. See you next week.
That seems like a good endpoint. I also stopped recording. I did.